If it came out that we were 100% living in a simulation, what would be the biggest indicator looking back? Never forget the dancing plague of 1518. Probably devs were installing a new mod or something. The what now? Google's it. Wow, WTF. Like a deadly flash mob. Flesh mob hee hee. Nice try, great code monkey in the sky. I ain't telling you what bugs to patch. I'd love for them to patch a few things: my pay, better conversations, more free time, less being overweight, no more headaches. They already patched this in a few countries, it's just locked behind a paywall. If you tell them that you want these features, they'll just make it harder to get. There it is, fixed. You are now unemployed, your pay is fixed, you have lots of free time, are less overweight, as you can't eat, have better conversations with your imaginary friends, and no more headaches because you are dead. I can't remember what it's called, but the scientific phenomenon of particles and photons behaving differently when observed. They aren't being coded into the environment if no player is observing that area. In modern physics, the double-slit experiment demonstrates that light and matter can satisfy the seemingly incongruous classical definitions for both waves and particles, which is considered evidence for the fundamentally probabilistic nature of quantum mechanics. This type of experiment was first performed by Thomas Young in 1801 as a demonstration of the wave behavior of visible light. At that time it was thought that light consisted of either waves or particles. With the beginning of modern physics, about 100 years later, it was realized that light could in fact show behavior characteristic of both waves and particles. In 1927, Davison and Germer demonstrated that electrons show the same behavior, which was later extended to atoms and molecules. 3. Thomas Young's experiment with light was part of classical physics long before the development of quantum mechanics and the concept of wave-particle duality. He believed it demonstrated that Christian Huygens' wave theory of light was correct, and his experiment is sometimes referred to as Young's experiment. 4. Or Young slits. 5. Be very careful if Googling Young slits. I used to work in a pharmacy, so I asked about 100 people for their name and DOB every day. A couple weeks into the job, I mentioned to a coworker how I hadn't had a single customer with the same birthday as me. Got 4 of them over the next 2 days. Edit, another time I realized we were living in a simulation was when I said something online and 40 people replied to me saying the exact same wrong thing about the birthday paradox or the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. Lazy devs copy-pasting code. I love when the simulation thinks to itself, oh, snap. I've been noticed, I better make up for it, and then it goes way overboard. The pens. I used to go to large corporate meetings a few times a year. They gave out pens and notepads to everyone, as if I was going to take notes. I would take pens from empty seats and from coworkers and take them home. A dozen at a time at least. This went on for years. So where are the pens? There should be hundreds of them in my home. I should be able to stand anywhere and look in any direction and see a pen, but no. Then you have people like me with hundreds of pens in my junk drawer. How many actually work? 3, and none of them have black ink, they're all orange. Outer space not having sound. Very convenient, dear devs, very convenient. We're lucky we can't hear the sun. There was once a thread here about the experience of being deaf, and multiple deaf people talked about being dumbfounded on learning that the sun doesn't make noise in the sky. If we could hear the sun, it would be as loud as a jackhammer here on Earth. All day. Even night. Forever. Can't be true, the sun goes away at night. My hilariously bad luck with traffic timing. A 2-lane road could be completely empty for half an hour, and then the second I pull up to turn onto it, a massive line of cars rolls up that I have to wait for. Once I finally turn after they pass, the road is empty again. I used to live on a mostly empty road like this, and it happened so often that I was convinced it was NPCs spawning on my location. Hey Truman! If I don't see you again, then good morning, good afternoon, and good night. This is exactly what I thought of LOL. I can sometimes think of a movie or a song, and that bitch either shows up in some form on my suggestions or my actual television. How many times I've said, I haven't spoken to X in a while, I should give them a call, and then my phone starts ringing. Right? What the fuck? Yo, I was just thinking about calling you. I went onto a PlayStation chat from 2016 last week to reminisce playing with an old college friend and see when we last spoke. That very second a new message popped up saying he was doing the same thing and that he wondered how I was. I hadn't heard from him in 7 years and he had zero reason to contact me. Dreaming. What the fuck are even dreams? Like, okay, we need people to sleep to defrag the brain, let's give them VR content to pass time, but make the physics all fucked up and scramble the sets to make it interesting. Also lucid dreams, weirdest feeling ever, knowing you're dreaming but unable to do anything about it. And false awakening, I just had one of those last week while taking a nap. In my dream I was in bank robbery and the perps got into a gunfight in the middle of the bank. I then realized I was dreaming. Somehow I wake up, sit up on the couch and I'm trying to find my phone. I look over at the coffee table, maybe is under the stack of papers. Then I said, wait a damn minute, I don't own a coffee table. Really fucked me up for the next few days. That it never fails that once you start to get a little bit ahead in life, your car's check engine light comes on. Actually happened to me a year ago. Haven't heard about this before though. Happened to me last month, though the check engine light is sometimes metaphorical. Wife and I were able to completely be out of debt, with exception of our house note, then the water heater went out. At the end of May my car died, bad alternator, towed and repaired it. 2 days later the check engine light came on. Traded it in for a new car. Last week my water heater busted. Now I have car loan payments and need to pay off the water heater charges. We were just celebrating being in a good place with debt in mid-May. Things would reappear only when I stop looking for it. If that's not a dead giveaway that we're living in a simulation, I don't know what is. And don't forget about hairpins and hair ties. Where do they even go? Nobody in my house recalls ever buying or using hairpins, yet we find them constantly in our house. The house is 7 years old and we've been here for 5 of those. The previous owners were an elderly couple who were both borderline bald. So that's where all the hairpins and the hair ties are teleported to. I've always theorized that they're just teleported to another dimension. If they got the hair tie house, imagine someone has got the house where the socks end up. That's gotta stink. Too many things taste like chicken. Lazy programmers reusing the same assets as always. Nobody will ever eat this shit, why bother make it taste different? And then turns out humans will put literally everything in our mouths. LMAO. How arbitrary the speed of light limit is. It's just the read/write speed limit of the hard drive we are living in. Junior simulation dev, hey, should we model the whole multiverse? Senior simulation dev, nah, just make a skydome texture. Junior simulation dev, what do we do if they make it to the edge? Senior simulation dev, just cap their travel speed, by the time they get there it will be somebody else's problem. Not only did they cap the travel speed, they also introduced the arbitrary variant of universe expansion to never really have to render anything beyond the local cluster. It's a neat trick, though. Much better than the invisible wall all around that we use in our simulations. From 1923 until 1956, scientists thought that humans had 48 chromosomes, 24 pairs. In 1956, scientists counted the correct number, 46, 23 pairs. What actually happened was that they patched the simulation for smooth running and reduced the chromosome number for better processing. Darned nerfing. Honestly, finding out I was nerfed would really improve my mental health, lol. I tell myself that my depression and chronic pain are just the universe nerfing my stats because otherwise I'd be too powerful. It actually helps me feel better sometimes. Never seeing my neighbors carrying in groceries. I saw this mentioned the other day and had a moment of WTF, then realized I don't really watch my neighbors all that often, so why would I have seen it, lol. Start watching now, and you'll see. We've been watching our neighbors for months because of this phenomenon, and we never see anyone bringing in groceries. And we have tons of neighbors because we're in a densely populated condo complex. Further support for the simulation is one neighbor moving in and carried in 9 different kinds of chairs. No two were the same. I do hear them get takeaway delivered quite often, TBF, so I might still not see them get groceries. For me, the fact that there are humans or conscious beings on a planet capable of understanding the concept and rarity of a moon performing a total solar eclipse. It's an incredible coincidence that intelligent life is able to see a solar eclipse from its host planet by its satellite moon when it wouldn't have been able to if you went back in time millions of years, or even in a billion years into the future as the moon is drifting away from us. It's also weird that we are rare enough to have a moon at the right distance from the Earth, with the sun being the right diameter and distance from the Earth and moon to be able to be covered and still display a corona. Like, are we just the luckiest people in the universe or what? Please like and subscribe for more daily content.